Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video we are going to learn about cubital fossa. It is a very simple topic and important short question in your first year MBBS university examinations. It is frequently asked as a whole topic like the whole cubital fossa, or a part of it like boundaries of the cubital fossa can be asked as a short question in your first year MBBS university examinations. So let us start and learn it very carefully. So to start with, I am going to tell you some subheadings under which we are going to learn the cubital fossa. We will learn cubital fossa under following subheadings. First, we will see what is the definition of the cubital fossa, how do we define it. Then we are going to see the location of the cubital fossa. After seeing the location, we will see the boundaries of the cubital fossa. What are the different structures which bound this fossa, and then we'll see contents. What are the different structures present inside this fossa? Those are known as contents of the cubital fossa. And at last, we'll see about the clinical anatomy of the cubital fossa. Okay, so let us just start and jump into the video. To start with, I am going to tell you the definition of the cubital fossa. So what is cubital fossa? Cubital fossa is nothing but a hollow space which is present between our arm and forearm. And this space is triangular in shape. So the cubital fossa is a triangular hollow space which is situated in front of our elbow. Now where it is located? The cubital fossa is located between our arm and our forearm. Okay. Now, it is very important to learn one thing, that cubital fossa is a hollow space which is present on the elbow between arm and forearm. So, it is a space, therefore, it will have many structures present inside it, and these structures are known as contents of the cubital fossa, which we will see after some minutes. So, now we are done with the definition and the location. Now, we will see the boundaries of the cubital fossa. So, boundaries of the cubital fossa are lateral, medial, base, apex, roof, floor, etc. So to start with, first we'll see the lateral boundary of the cubital fossa. The lateral boundary of the cubital fossa is formed by the muscle which is present laterally on the forearm. This muscle takes origin from the lateral supracondylar line and the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. This muscle is nothing but the brachioradialis. So brachioradialis muscle forms the lateral boundary of the cubital fossa. One thing to note here is that whole brachioradialis muscle doesn't form the lateral boundary of the cubital fossa. Only its medial border forms the lateral boundary of the cubital fossa. Now coming to the medial boundary of the cubital fossa. Medial boundary of the cubital fossa is formed by a muscle which is present medially on our forearm. This muscle is known as pronator teres. This muscle helps in pronation of our forearm. That's why it is known as pronator teres. This muscle as such forms the medial boundary of the cubital fossa, but this whole muscle does not form the medial boundary. Only its lateral border forms the medial boundary of the cubital fossa. Now coming to the base of the fossa. Since the cubital fossa is a triangular space, therefore it is bound to have a base, an apex and sides. So the base of the cubital fossa is formed by an imaginary line which joins the two epicondyle, that is lateral and medial epicondyle of the humerus bone. Okay, so this imaginary line forms the base of the cubital fossa. Now coming to the apex of the cubital fossa. Since cubital fossa is triangular space, it is bound to have an apex also. The apex of the cubital fossa is formed by the two muscles, one brachioradialis and pronator teres. The joining of the brachioradialis and pronator teres forms the apex of the cubital fossa. Remember, the apex is directed towards the hand. Now coming to the roof of the cubital fossa. The roof of the cubital fossa is formed by multiple layers, basically 4 layers. These are from above downwards as follows. The first layer is skin of our hand, elbow to be precise, then superficial fascia, then deep fascia, and after that tendon of our muscle of our forearm, front of forearm, that is biceps brachii. So the tendon of biceps brachii, that is also known as bicipital aponeurosis, forms the roof of the lowest layer of the roof of the cubital fossa. Okay. Now one very important point here is that the roof of the cubital fossa, the second layer of the roof of the cubital fossa, that is superficial fascia, contains two veins. One is basilic vein, which is present medially. This basilic vein is accompanied by medial cutaneous nerve of arm, and laterally there is another vein which is present in the superficial fascia of the roof of the cubital fossa. This vein which is present laterally is known as cephalic vein. It is accompanied by a nerve known as lateral cutaneous nerve of arm. These two veins, basilic vein and the cephalic vein, is joined by a horizontal vein which is present exactly in the cubital fossa. This vein is known as median cubital vein. Okay, so these are the three veins and the two nerves which are present in the superficial fascia of the cubital fossa. Now coming to the floor of the cubital fossa. The floor of the cubital fossa is formed by two muscles, supinator and brachialis. Supinator laterally, brachialis medially, on the ulna, and supinator on the radius bone. Okay, so these are the boundaries. Now coming to contents of the cubital fossa. The contents of the cubital fossa we will learn from the medial side of our arm to the lateral side of our arm. So the first medial content of the cubital fossa is median nerve. Median nerve is the most medial structure of the cubital fossa. Remember, medial. Okay, median nerve is the most medial structure of the cubital fossa. It passes between the two heads of the pronator teres to enter the cubital fossa, and it supplies three muscles: palmaris longus, flexor digitorum superficialis, and flexor carpi ulnar radialis muscles. So median nerve passes between the two heads of the pronator teres and supplies three muscles, or gives three branches in the cubital fossa. See, median nerve gives many branches, but in cubital fossa it gives three branches to these muscles: palmaris longus, flexor carpi radialis, and flexor digitorum superficialis. Okay, it gives branches to these three muscles in the cubital fossa. Remember, it passes between the two heads of the pronator teres. The second medial structure of the cubital fossa is the brachial artery. Brachial artery is continuation of the axillary artery in the arm. It enters into the cubital fossa and divides into two arteries, namely the radial artery and the ulnar artery. Radial artery runs along the radial side of the radius bone, and ulnar artery runs along the ulnar bone. Okay. The ulnar artery, it gives three branches in the cubital fossa. Those three branches are anterior ulnar recurrent, posterior ulnar recurrent, and common interosseous artery. Common interosseous artery again gives anterior and posterior interosseous artery. See, these arteries form anastomosis around the elbow joint or in the elbow to supply the elbow joint and structures surrounding it. Okay, so these arteries are very important. Now coming to the third structure of the cubital fossa, it is also very important. That is tendon of the muscle of the forearm, muscle of the arm, front of arm, that is biceps brachii. This tendon is also known as bicipital aponeurosis. It is the third structure from the medial side in the cubital fossa. Okay. The most lateral structure of the cubital fossa is radial nerve. The radial nerve is the most lateral structure of the cubital fossa. It descends, or it runs down from the lateral epicondyle, obviously, of the humerus to the cubital fossa. Now, because it is a lateral structure, it runs down from the lateral epicondyle of the humerus to the cubital fossa, and it divides here inside the cubital fossa into an superficial branch and deep branch. So, superficial radial nerve and deep radial nerve. The deep radial nerve, deep branch of the radial nerve, is also known as posterior interosseous nerve, and it is given inside the supinator muscle. Basically, the deep branch of the radial nerve is known as posterior interosseous nerve, and it gives branches to the supinator muscle, which forms floor of the cubital fossa. One thing, the deep radial nerve, that is posterior interosseous nerve, leaves the cubital fossa by piercing the supinator muscle. It is very important. So radial nerve divides into a superficial radial nerve and deep radial nerve inside the cubital fossa. Remember. Now coming to the clinical anatomy part of the cubital fossa, the clinical anatomy part of the cubital fossa is actually very interesting. Whenever we take venous blood for any blood group, blood analysis like complete blood picture in any laboratory, then we take blood from our medial cubital vein. So medial cubital vein is the most accessible vein. It is most frequently used vein by different technicians or laboratory persons when we go to give our venous blood sample for any test like complete blood picture. This vein is most frequently used. Why this vein is used to take out the venous blood from our body? Why not another veins like saphenous vein? So because this vein is most easily accessible vein, and it does not have any important structures below it. So if there is some here and there going of the needle of the syringe, then no important structure will be damaged. Okay. The second important clinical point is brachial artery is used to auscultate for the blood pressure. Okay. So this is about the cubital fossa. Thank you for watching the video. Do like, share and subscribe if you liked it. Thank you.